Hello everyone, welcome to this session of White Coat Wednesday. I'm Emily, a third year student here at the University of Queensland Ochsner Clinical School and the treasurer of the Cardiology Student Interest Group, which is the focus of today's session. I'd like to introduce the president of the Cardiology Interest Group, Jen. Jen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Em. So as Emily said, I am Jen Horton. I'm the president of the Cardiology Interest Group here at UQ-Ochsner. I'm originally from Danville, California, which I usually just say San Francisco when people ask, because unless you're from the East Bay, no one knows where I'm talking about. But I didn't really stray too far. I went to UC Berkeley for my undergraduate degree studying integrative biology, and I focused on exercise physiology there. Emily, why don't you finish introducing yourself?
Yeah, all right. I'm from Laguna Niguel, California. I got my bachelor's degree from UC San Diego, and now I'm here. So, Jen, would you mind telling us about why you chose the Ochsner program?
Yeah, so after I graduated from UC Berkeley, I actually worked in tech for a few years. And so by the time I decided to apply to medical school, it had been several years since I'd taken biology or chemistry. And so I went back to UC Berkeley to do a post-bac course there to kind of refresh my knowledge while I applied to different medical schools. And my advisor in the program told me one day about this medical school that was doing an info session over at UCSF. She thought I might be interested in it. And so the next day I went out to San Francisco, went to the info session, and needless to say, I was very interested in what they had to say, loved what I heard about the program, and I went home that night and filled out an application. And then while going through kind of the admission process and interviewing, I talked to a few of my mentors in the medical field about the program, and once they came back and said, not only had they heard great things about Ochsner, but actually knew some doctors in the system that they thought very highly of, I knew I had stumbled upon something remarkable. And yeah, it has turned out to be just as remarkable as I thought it would be.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing. So this program is very innovative in the sense that the students spend the first 2 years in Brisbane. What can you share about your experiences there, and how will it shape you as a future physician?
Yeah, so I absolutely love my time in Australia. I know that's really hard to believe, but I'll start by saying, I was really lucky to meet incredible people while I was in Brisbane, not only within the medical school, but in the community as well. And I could spend the entirety of this chat just talking about all the amazing aspects of studying in Australia, particularly studying medicine in Australia at the University of Queensland. But I think my two main takeaways would be the collaborative nature of the program, and then learning how to not only deal with, but overcome uncertainty, especially given that my second year was hit by COVID. And so the University of Queensland was really unique in fostering a small group collaboration as we studied medicine, getting to work with doctors and shutting down the competitive nature that a lot of times people think of, and rather encouraging us to work together, to think about difficult cases, to lean on each other and each other's knowledge to do the best by our patients. And I found that really inspiring. And that's something that I definitely love has continued here now at Ochsner in New Orleans, that continued support and encouragement to work together. As far as overcoming uncertainty, I feel like that's appropriate for every physician. You don't know what you're about to walk into, but having to trust my peers and lean on them during COVID, during this uncertain period of life on the other side of the country or on the other side of the world, I think has shown me that we can overcome a lot, and also falling back on that collaborative nature to get the right thing done.
Yeah, sounds very fun. I'd agree with you. So we're both in the Cardiology Interest Group. Mm-hmm. What attracted you to this field?
Yeah, so one of my mentors before I started medical school is an interventional cardiologist, and so he definitely gave me the initial exposure to the field of cardiology. But then my real interest came when I was on my pediatrics rotation and got to work in the cardiology clinic. I got to work with Dr. Lara, who at the time was our clerkship director, as well as Dr. Klimahan. And I will say that both of those doctors, I want to be them when I grow up. They're amazing physicians, and they really opened my eyes to not only the interesting nature of cardiology, but the impact that you can have on patients. Watching them treat and build relationships with congenital heart disease patients and really watching how they affected these patients' lives and learning about the physiology behind all these conditions they were treating, I was immediately hooked. And then kind of from there, Dr. Kleiman told me about a journal club that this interest group he was an advisor to was having. I went to a session. I was like, I want to be a part of this. And so I reached out to the current president, Austin, and said, can I be the third year rep? They hadn't asked for one, and I wanted to be involved. And then kind of from there, I became the president, and I'm really trying to share my love and interest in cardiology with my classmates and make this interest group something special.
Yeah, it's definitely coming through with how much you talk
Yeah.
about it, and it's great. So you've taken a leadership role in this interest group. Can you talk a little bit more about student involvement at this school? What are some of the opportunities and some of the rewards?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the cardiology interest group is not the only one. Not expecting every student to be as interested in cardiology as we are, but so there's lots of different interest groups, from pediatrics to internal medicine to radiology. So even if you have interests spreading across 3, 4, 5 different specialties, there's a way for you to get involved with that, learn about it, discuss it with your peers. And then beyond the interest groups, there's different student clubs. Another one is called Medicine in Motion, which is a nonprofit to kind of combat physician burnout through fitness and philanthropy. And then just general volunteering that different students learn about opportunities, kind of share them with the rest of their classmates. We all get to go and be involved kind of in a big group or even on our own. And I think that kind of that sharing of events is something that it's social, but also contributing back to the community, which there's so many opportunities for things like that I find really special. And I think the rewards really speak for themselves. Like, I don't know, as far as the student interest groups, you get to learn about something that you're fascinated by and talk with equally minded peers. As far as volunteering, well, there's just the reward of doing something good. So I think whatever you want to do in your time outside of school, there's a chance to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So you've told me all the things you have planned for the cardiology interest group this year, but could you give a brief overview and talk about an event that you're particularly looking forward to?
Yeah, so with the cardiology interest group, like I said, journal clubs were kind of a big feature when I was a year 3 rep, and we're particularly, I guess, lucky that Dr. Kleinhan helps lead those journal clubs with us every few weeks. So we have a journal club probably every 5 to 6 weeks. We kind of go over to Dr. Kleinhan's, talk about it, and kind of let the discussion evolve throughout the night, which is really fascinating. But we also have, even just this next week, an EKG workshop with an electrophysiology physician here at Ochsner, as well as a cardiology fellow. We have some echo workshops coming up. And then the event that I'm personally most looking forward to is this physician panel that I have planned for the end of May. And we have a group of pediatric and adult cardiologists that are coming here to really tell us about their career journeys, advice for pursuing the field, and also what they kind of do on a day-to-day. So we have doctors who specialize in heart failure, doctors who look at electrophysiology and EKGs, and even our cardiology fellow, she's looking at adult congenital heart diseases. So they all have a very kind of varied group of interests and experiences. And so getting the opportunity to hear each of their unique stories, I think, is something that not only I'm looking forward to for myself, but also to kind of open the eyes of my peers who might not understand how diverse the field of cardiology can be.
Yeah, definitely. And so thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Very excited for the year to come. My last question is, what advice would you have for someone considering a career in medicine?
So I know it sounds really cliche, but believe in yourself. It literally sounds like a fortune cookie. I know it does. And I will say, though, I'm really grateful for the unique path that I took into medicine. I know that all my various experiences, good and not so good, have kind of made me who I am and will make me into the physician that I will one day become. But I wish that I believed in myself a lot sooner. I know that kind of my second guessing, my self-doubts, my imposter syndrome, which I'll let you know does not go away once you start medical school or are in the throes of it, kind of kept me from pursuing this earlier. And kind of, the imposter syndrome's still here. And I know that talking to my mentors now, it's not really going anywhere, but kind of believing in yourself, trusting the process, and believing people when they tell you that you're good enough, I think is the main thing that's going to get you through the trials of medical school. And then kind of that's going to help you become the best physician that you can be. You came into medical school with a reason, trust in that reason, and become the physician that you're meant to be.
That's great. All right, so I'm Emily, and this is Jen. And thank you for joining us for this White Coat Wednesday. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.